Hello, J-Bo here with a special video. Hunting season has started in Maine, and a lot of hunters were very happy to go out this past weekend. We all had to wait until this mass shooter, Robert Card, was apprehended first, which he was found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound behind a recycling place he used to work at by the dump, and he was fired. But the thing is we have hunting season that has started. People were waiting for it, and they couldn't go out. If you were like one of those last minute people and you wanted to go out and sight your rifle, and you couldn't get a chance to because of what happened, the people that already had them sighted were all set, but some of them weren't. They had to hurry up and go out literally on the day hunting opened to sight their rifles and then go hunting for the end of the weekend or the end of the day. Now, why do I mention that? Well, we go shooting every weekend on an outdoor range on private land. And we ourselves were like, well, until this guy's apprehended, we're not going to go shooting because people are going to hear shooting. And even where we go, it's commonplace to hear shooting all the time. So everybody owns guns out here, and they shoot them. So as soon as they apprehended him and sent the all clear, even the emergency update on the cell phone, which was funny, the text said that basically hunting season, you can go out and shoot all you want to. That's what the text said. So it probably wouldn't play well in some place like New York City with people, but here it was, even the Democrat governor here was anxious to get hunter season underway. They needed to find this guy because Maine is a tourism state, and people come here to hunt, and hunting is a big deal here. So even though I've never been hunting, but that's a whole nother story. So it's one of those things that we went shooting Saturday, my brother and I, and we were expecting to have a great day, which we did. We always have a great day. About 4 hours into our shooting day, we pretty much had done most of our shooting. We hear a crack, gunshot, and a bullet whiz over our head. We look at each other because we both knew that sounded like it was being, you can tell when somebody's shooting at you. It was directly at you. The gun has a different noise, and you can hear the bullet whizzing. Then there was another shot and another whiz. Now, we kind of sensed they weren't shooting directly at us, but they were shooting in our direction. They were going over our heads, probably 20, 30 feet, too close for my comfort. At least that's what it sounded like. And so we took cover behind his truck, figured it out, and it was one of those things where then you could tell they were shooting in a different direction. So some fool was up over the ridge in the woods, sighting his rifle, no doubt. It sounded like a 30-06 bolt action or something like that. It was just one shot at a time. It wasn't semi-automatic. And they were missing their target, which they probably had on a tree, stupidly, and the bullet was by us in the distance. So that reminded me of something I should make for a video, because this is obviously something that still needs to be talked about with gun owners. At this point in time, I find it hard to believe, with all the gun talk, and that there are still idiots out there doing stupid things with firearms. Now, you have land, and then it goes down like this, very steeply, and then it's flat. So we had a ridge of about 50 or 60 feet. So the shooter was up here somewhere, and we were down here, and the bullets were going over our heads through the woods that are up here. Just to give you an idea that if we were on level ground, we might have been shot. So it's a reminder to just, when you are out with your firearm, it is not a toy. It is a dangerous thing. You need to show it respect, and you need to respect it, and you need to respect other people and your surroundings. You are 100% responsible for whatever is in the background when you discharge your firearm. If you shoot your firearm and it hits a rock, caroms off, and the carom hits a 4-year-old child playing in their yard on a big wheel, you're going to get charged and you're going to go to prison. It's up to you to make sure of what you're shooting at all times. So this person would have been held for probably negligent homicide or manslaughter of some whatever degree they have. It was negligent. They didn't do it on purpose, but it doesn't matter, you know. Somebody could lose their life. So you need to be aware of that. Even in a legal killing where it's self-defense, somebody's robbing you, they pull a knife on you, you pull out your firearm and you protect yourself. If you use a round that goes through that person and hits somebody else behind them, you're responsible for that. And that's why for self-defense ammo, you need to use something that is safe. And a good hollow point, for example, has less likely to overpenetrate and come out the other side and seriously hurt somebody else. That's why I don't like to use 9mm. It's very, I like to carry 40. And I like to carry 40 caliber kind of spear gold dot. I like that because it doesn't overpenetrate and it does a really good job. So hopefully I'll never have to find out in a real world situation. That's the goal of a gun owner, is to not have to use their firearm for self-defense. But anyway, you know, this is a 1976 Marlin 336C and 3030. That's a typical kind of hunting rifle you would see here, 30-06, 308, yada, yada, yada. And so when you have these, just make sure it's clear. It is clear. You know, when you're shooting a firearm, you have to make sure you're being safe. And there's a friend of ours from years ago. I won't use his last name because I don't know how YouTube is with that, but his name was Aaron. He was about 29 years old at the time, okay, youngster. He was in a cabin on a lake here in Maine, and a random bullet went through the cabin wall, struck him in the lung, and he died. He was killed by an irresponsible hunter. So they never caught who did it. He's just dead. And the person that did it probably doesn't even know they did it. So this is stuff that can happen. You have to be safe out there, okay? You have to be. This affects all of us. If you go out with your firearm and you do something stupid, this gives the opposition that wants to take these from you ammunition against you, no pun intended. So that's just something I wanted to mention. I hope that makes sense, and it should be common sense. But train, practice, watch other safety videos. YouTube's got a ton of gun safety videos. There's really no excuse to not know what you're doing out there. And this should never be pointed at anybody at any time. It should always be pointed in a safe direction. I usually walk with my rifle like this, pointed down at the ground. If I'm not walking next to somebody, if I'm walking next to somebody, I will have the safety on, and I usually have it strapped behind me. But there are safe ways, and you have your safety to use, which this doesn't, but it has a half-cock safety. Can't pull the trigger. And my Henry Big Boy Brass is a safe firearm because it has a transfer bar safety that works. If you cock it and you pull the trigger to release the hammer and then take your finger off the trigger and then you let the hammer slam back on the round, it won't fire. I've tried that safely, of course. But it's important to be familiar with your firearms. This does not have a half-cock safety, but the safety is the transfer bar. But anyway, the point is, always be safe. And take care of yourself out there and protect other people, especially people you're with, but people that you don't see in the distance. You know, don't shoot at things like ice in the wintertime if you're at a wrong angle. If you're at a steep, straight down angle shooting at it, that's a lot different. But if you're at an angle and you shoot, that will skip off the ice and go off where you're shooting somewhere. Most bullets will travel about a mile if they're powerful, sometimes a little more, even on a carom. I don't know how much damage that would do if it hit somebody, but we don't want to find out, do we? And I remember one personal experience. I was somewhere shooting, and some young guy came up. He had a white van with his girlfriend, trying to impress her. And he was taking his AR-15, shooting it in the water. And I was off to the right of what he was shooting at, and my car was parked there. Any one of those shots could have hit that water and changed direction and hit me. And I went over there and told him not to do that. It was unsafe. And I carry a firearm on my side at all times because that's the thing too. You don't know who you're talking to. This guy could have said, "Oh yeah, well, turned it on me." You know, he could be somebody like that. So you always have to be aware of where you are, situational awareness, and you only have a split second to read other people and what's going on, and you have to know what to do. Another thing that happened was I was sitting in my kitchen. 2 cars went by, and for some reason they were shooting at each other. 9mm. And I dove on the kitchen floor and immediately knew what it was after the first shot. It was like instinct. I just dropped on my floor, grabbed my .40 caliber and my phone to call 911. And the police showed up. Other people called the police. And, my brother and I were outside helping the police locate empty shell casings on the street. Well, there's one over here. There's one over here. And, so things happen and you have to be aware. We are in a different age now. Stuff like this never would have happened years ago. You still had the drunk idiot with a rifle shooting at you by mistake. That's been around for a while. So that person who shot at us at the range unintentionally could have been drinking, could have been old, could have just been an elderly person, just not paying attention, maybe going senile, having dementia issues. You don't know who's out there, is my point. It certainly wasn't intentional, but being dead is being dead, okay? And you need to be careful and aware of other things. So that's all I wanted to mention. Have a nice day. Thank you for listening. And, some of these videos get a little long, but, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So if you have any questions or comments or your own opinion, please feel free to voice them down below here. And thank you very much for watching. And I really hope you enjoy the channel. And I'm going to have some gun videos coming up soon as well. There's plenty of stuff to show. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful day and stay cool, everybody. Bye-bye.